Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Vancouver Island University webinar that we're doing today about our tourism management program here. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the program. And mostly this session is directly for you to ask any questions that you may have of us today. I just wanted to mention a couple of things that today's session is being recorded. So hopefully you're comfortable with that. You don't have to turn your camera on if you don't wish. That's completely okay. And also for your questions, we recommend that you go to the bottom of your screen, you use the Q&A function to ask any of your questions to any of our panelists this morning. And or you can, if you wish, do the little raise hand function, and we'll try to keep an eye on that so that you can ask your question live verbally if you so desire. So either one of those options is available. But right now, well, my name is Bruce Conde. I'm the Director of International Marketing and Recruitment here at VIU. And I want to introduce the rest of our guests. I think we'll start with Amanda. Do you want to step?
Yeah, sure. Good morning, everyone. It's morning for me. So I don't know what time it is for you, but for me, it's morning. And I'm joining you today from the traditional and unceded territory of the Nanaimo people, and I'm really happy to be here and really happy that you're joining us today to learn more about one of my favorite programs at VIU, which is the Bachelor of Tourism Management program. And I'm the chair and advisor for the program, so I kind of manage sort of both sides of the house. I deal with a lot of student questions and help students pick their courses, and I also work with instructors and faculty to sort of manage the department side of things. So I can answer questions on both ends, and I welcome your questions at any point. I'll leave it to the rest of the introductions before I go circle back, I guess. Hey, Bruce?
Yes, please. We had Kathy Cameron, who is our Associate Registrar for International, online, but she seems to have been kicked out for some reason. But she's here to help answer questions with registration and applications, admissions into VIU. And we hope to have a student here and hopefully be joining us very shortly as well to answer any questions you may have in that regard. So I think what we will do is we will circle around and again, come back to you, Amanda, to talk a little bit about the program itself that the students have, just very briefly, so that all the students get familiar with what the program is about.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Bruce. So the Bachelor of Tourism Management is a longstanding program at VIU. It started as a diploma of tourism, and we expanded that to a tourism management degree. It's a 4-year degree. All of the courses are taught on campus at the Nanaimo campus. It's a beautiful campus. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to do a bit of looking around, but we sit on a really nice campus, and we have a really great view of the ocean and the town site. And it's just a really great place to study every day. So all of our courses are there. That being said, because we're tourism, we're pretty experiential. So we do visit the community, we travel around quite a bit, and we do a lot of hands-on learning. So we use the resources around Vancouver Island University. You can see the campus right behind Kathy's picture there. So we use that as our home base, but we do travel around quite a bit on Vancouver Island, which is, we're pretty lucky to have that as a resource. So like I said, it's a 4-year program. We are a cohort program. So we take a maximum of about 30 to 35 students a year. And those students typically stay together throughout the 4 years. So you would take all the same classes together, which is quite nice because you have a really strong community. We have a really great diversity of students in our program. Domestic students from Vancouver Island, from BC, from Canada, and then often students from around the world. So you get to stay with that group of students for the most part through your courses. As a result of that as well, you get to know your instructors very well because you're in that cohort program and you see the same instructors frequently. So there's a really strong sense of community within the program, and a lot of great relationships are formed as a result. So the first 2 years focuses on kind of the administration of tourism and a little bit of recreation, and we fall under that kind of broad leisure umbrella. And you learn things about leadership, you learn things about program and event planning, you learn things about human resource management, basic concept courses, some applied activity courses. So those are the first 2 years, kind of getting to understand the broad spectrum that is tourism, because we know that it's quite broad and we can apply those skills to many different areas across the industry, both within the tourism industry, but also marketing and other areas related to management. And then the last 2 years, the last 2 years of the degree program really gets down into the management of tourism. So we look at things like niche tourism, we look at things like a few more leadership courses, some project management courses, which are really valuable right now. We're seeing that from our employers, that we really want students to have some project management experience. And this is an opportunity as well to kind of forge your own path and find some courses and electives in some areas that work well with tourism for you. So we have students, for example, who are completing a marketing minor. So they've taken a package of marketing courses and combined that with tourism, which is really valuable for destination marketing, if that's kind of your area of interest. And then we have students who have combined with geography or psychology or anthropology, and taken some courses in that area. So the final 2 years are really an opportunity to sort of figure out your own path. We like to call it a choose your own adventure. Really great component of our program is we have 3 co-op placements. So every summer between your first year, after your first year, second year, and third year, you have a co-op placement. So this allows you to work in a paid position for up to 40 hours a week throughout your degree. So that's a really valuable component. And then you get credit for that as well. So we do 9 credits of co-op courses in the summer. And you work in a paid position. I have a colleague, his name is Brooke, and he helps people find those co-op positions. And we have students who work all over Canada and all over the world in those co-op positions. And they do things related to marketing. We have students who work for Tourism Vancouver Island every year. I was just chatting with a student who's moving to the other side of the country, to Ontario, for the summer in Niagara Falls, and he's going to be an interpreter a guest host on a jet boat at Niagara Falls. So he's going to spend the summer on the Niagara River, touring people around Niagara Falls in a really fast boat. So really, really great opportunities. We've got tons of employers knocking down our doors for our students. Every one of our students, last time I checked, has a position for the summer right now. So they are all employed. And that's what I like about this program. It really does allow you to kind of do whatever you want, right? So you've got those basic management skills. You will have a management degree when you graduate, which is hugely valuable, but you also get to have that fun side of it with the tourism and leisure side of it. So and some recreation side of it. So we learn about how to manage tourism and recreation adventure programs, for example, rather than sort of that broad experience of management more broadly. But that management degree is very valuable. So if you're thinking about, graduate school in the future, an MBA, a Master's of Business Administration would be a great connection to our program, for example. I think I'll leave it there. I just feel like I spoke really quickly, and maybe it's time for some questions, and then I can use those questions to bounce off some ideas.
Okay, before we just get to the questions, I think we got Kathy Cameron returned to us. So Kathy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Kathy, and I'm the Associate Registrar for International Admissions. So when you apply and submit your application to VIU, my team are the folks that will be guiding you and making sure that you've got all the documents in that you need. And we'll be communicating with you and sending letters of offer, letters of acceptance, and just helping smooth your transition to VIU. So any questions you have about the admission process, I'm happy to help answer today.
Great. And thank you to Mike to putting up the question about, we just always like to hear where our people who are joining us today are from. It looks like we've got the people who put down their names and locations are all from the continent of Africa, which is great. We have Moti and Vincent, Diana, John, all coming from either Kenya or Ethiopia. So very much welcome to you all. We love having African students here at VIU and whatever programs you have. But obviously, tourism and recreation are massive industries in your countries, just as it is in Canada. Different focus, obviously, but the basics of the business are very similar. So I think what we'll do is we'll start getting into some questions, and I can see, I think Modi asked the first question about, is there any age limit for admission? So maybe Kathy, can we ask you to respond to that?
Sure. There's no upper age limit. You can apply at any age. A lower age limit to the university, I believe it's anybody. Basically, the admission requirements require you to have completed your secondary schooling, and you need to show your English proficiency. So there's no, if you are applying as a minor, as someone who's under the age of 19, you may need to appoint a custodian while you are here in Canada. But we can guide you through that if that's your question. But if you're asking about the upper age limit, no, there's no upper age limit.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Yeah. And then maybe we can ask some questions. Can you tell us a little bit more, Amanda, about the job opportunities for our graduates?
Yeah, that's a really great question. It's a question I get a lot is, what do I do with a tourism management degree? And the answer is pretty much anything you want to do, which is what I love about it. We obviously take a strong focus on the delivery of tourism, what it looks like to be a tourism provider or an entrepreneur, but we also take a strong focus on the management of tourism more broadly. So from the Bachelor of Tourism Management degree, we see students who go and work for what we call a destination marketing organization, those organizations that are responsible for marketing general or broad areas. So for example, we have Tourism Vancouver Island, who markets or promotes Vancouver Island or BC as a destination for visitors. And so many of our students go and work for Tourism Vancouver Island or Destination BC. We have a student or alumni right now working for Destination Canada, and they're creating campaigns, they're creating ads. They're traveling around the world trying to get people to visit Canada. And we know there's destination marketing organizations across the world as well. So it's not just something that's limited to Canada. That's a really great position that many of our students take after graduation. And that's largely because we have a strong focus on marketing and promotion, destination marketing as well. So that's a big part of our program. That's a really great job. Other careers that our students choose are relate to event management, meetings and events, conferences. So we teach our students and our alumni learn how to manage events, offer events, promote events, and create events. So many of our students will work for conference centers, for example, where big events will take place, or hotels where big events take place, like big conferences and that sort of thing as well. So we do a lot of event planning and event management. That's a big part of the tourism industry. And then we see students who become entrepreneurs, who work for small businesses. Small businesses make up a big portion of the Canadian economy. So many of our students work across BC and across Canada for more small businesses, doing everything from marketing and promotion to program planning to program delivery. So yeah, like we have students who own and operate kayaking companies. We have an alumni who is a manager at a place called Wild Play, which is here in Nanaimo, and it's an adventure tourism location. So he manages and he hires all the staff. So we teach students about human resource management and hiring practices. So that's a big part of what our alumni do once they graduate. But really what I'd like to say is it's kind of up to you. So we kind of guide you in different directions, but those 3 co-ops are huge. You get to have an experience, 3 different or unique experiences that kind of let you decide what you want to do. So we have students who work in the restaurant industry to start, for example, and that's a really great starting point on the tourism side of things. But then we typically find that they want to move into a job that has more responsibility, and then they'll go and work for a small business in promotion, for example. So those 3 co-ops let you kind of decide what area of tourism is really important to you, or the area of tourism that you really enjoy. So those 3 co-ops are big. And then, yeah, like I said, you can kind of, with that management degree, it kind of allows you to to do a lot of different and unique things.
One of the things I really like to talk about with students in regards to the tourism and the hospitality programs that we have here, because in Canada, where we are located in British Columbia on the West Coast and in the island, hospitality and tourism program or opportunities run the whole gamut. This is the mecca for having those opportunities in Canada. Tourism is massive here. And everything from and it depends upon what, again, what I said, what you're looking for, everything from a very rough fly-in fishing camp in the northern British Columbia to the 5-star hotels downtown Vancouver, to going to ski resorts in the Rocky Mountains. It really depends upon what you're looking for. And also what Amanda said about the 3 internships give you an opportunity to try very, very different things and find out where your niche is, where you're happiest at doing. And also, I like to say those co-ops are great for making contacts within the industry. So if you really impress somebody, they're looking at that 4-month co-op as like a long job opportunity that if you impress them, they may be having a job available for you once you graduate.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that a lot. We see our students who use those co-op or internship opportunities, those summer opportunities, and they slide right into a career with that organization. We see students who work for example, like whale watching organizations who then end up in the office managing all the reservations and all the guest concerns and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, like just to highlight what Bruce said, if you want to study tourism in Canada, Vancouver Island is the place to do it. I'm obviously biased, but I love it here. But to give you a bit of my own background, I've worked and studied all over Canada and the United States, originally from Ontario, and moved out here simply for those opportunities around tourism and to connect to my career. So yeah, it's a great place to live, but it's a really great place to study tourism. And there's so many opportunities here if you're the kind of student who is looking for different opportunities and sort of a unique career path for sure.
Okay, we have some questions here from Mahul. We have, I'm 28 from India, a graduate, fluent in spoken and written English. Can I apply? Kathy, you want to try and maybe take that one?
Of course. So absolutely. Your age is not a concern. You sound like a fantastic candidate for the program, so I'd encourage you to apply. And maybe I could just talk about what, I do see that there's another question about English proficiency. So I'll just address those two at one time. Everybody applying to the Bachelor of Tourism program, even students who are from Canada, do need to show proof of English proficiency. And there's a number of ways that you can do that. And I'm going to take you to a website here on our website. I'll just share screen. And are you seeing the English proficiency page? Okay. So there's a number of different ways that you can show your English language proficiency. You can take one of these English proficiency tests, which is TOEFL, the CALE test, the Cambridge test. You can prove it by graduating with an English 12 from a BC high school or equivalent, and you need a minimum grade of C. You can do the Pearson test. You can, if you're coming from an IB school, we accept IB English, advanced placement scores. If you've already attended university where English is the language of instruction and you've completed 6 credits in English, we will accept that as proof of your proficiency. And then there's also a number of at-home or online tests. So there's the CALE online, the Pearson online, and TOEFL IBT home edition. So if you have difficulty accessing the in-person testing sites from where you are living, you may submit the online test. But depending on where you're applying from, when you're going through the study permit process, it's important to know that if immigration is asking for proof of English as well, that they may or may not recognize the at-home test, the online test. for the purposes of applying to VIU, we will accept any of these test scores and offer you admission on that basis. I hope that helps. And I'm going to put in the chat box just where you can find those scores on our website.
Yeah. So those are all coming from our website, from our calendar page, which describes the program, the courses that you will be taking. So you can actually see descriptions of each individual course if you want to see if the kind of options you have. Information about, as Kathy's explaining, about how to apply to get in, the requirements, all kinds of different useful information that Kathy's putting in there. Yes, you can see there's the admissions right there. Okay, so I'm an undergraduate student from Kenya. Can I apply to continue my studies abroad? Again, I think we're going back to you, Kathy.
Yeah, so that's coming from Vincent. So Vincent, it sounds like you have some undergraduate credits already and would like to possibly transfer some of your education to VIU, and that's absolutely possible. What you would do when you apply is you would indicate that you're applying as a transfer student. So, and you would provide us with your transcripts from your home university, and we would take a look at those transcripts to determine what credits, or you could let us know which credits you'd like to consider transferable to VIU. You're allowed to transfer a maximum of 50%, right, Amanda? Half of your degree. So if you're applying to do the full bachelor degree, the maximum number of transfer credits that you could apply for would be half, 60 transfer credits.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And so some of the courses you may have taken may be directly transferable. So they may be equivalent to a course that we offer here at VIU. And in that case, you might get a course specific transfer credit. And otherwise, you might get block transfer credits. So they would count towards your degree at VIU, but it wouldn't meet a specific course requirement. So it's a little bit, that gives you just a very high level of what you would need to do. To get transfer credit, we would ask you to provide copies of your course syllabus that lets us know what the content of the courses were that you studied. And then our faculty would take a look to see, to determine how that would equate to credits at VIU. And so that process does take time. We would ask at least 6 weeks, and depending on when you submit it, it might even be a little bit longer. But in short, it is possible for you to get recognition for undergraduate education that you've done outside of Canada.
And just to build on that, Kathy, the program itself has, I want to say, about 30 elective credits built in. So those are credits that are courses where you can take kind of whatever you want. Some of them have to be upper level, but you know, there's some details there. But so a lot of students do come in and at least have those electives covered from their previous institution or wherever they studied previously, which allows students to graduate, you know, a semester or a year earlier if they plan out their courses well, or take fewer courses to kind of ease their load. But yeah, we do see that a lot from international students and domestic both.
Okay, we have a question from Diana. What is the admission process and the fee charges in terms of accommodation, tuition fee, and any application fees? I think we'll go back to Kathy, at least for the tuition and application process.
Okay.
Accommodation separately, maybe?
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. So becoming a student at VIU, this is a great page that provides a lot of helpful information to you. And so previously we were looking at the English language scores on the admission requirements. But if we go to applying to VIU, there's some good tips here to help you with your application. So before you even start, just to help you gather your documentation, to have it available. So what we need is your official transcripts from your secondary school or any post-secondary that you've done. We need a proof of your language proficiency. If your documents are in another language other than English, we do require a certified English translation. We ask for a copy of your passport page with your photo, and that is just to ensure that all the information we're receiving from you is accurately recorded in your student record, because the documents we issue are what you're need to be accurate. We need to know precisely how to spell your name, date of birth, etc. And then if you have a high school diploma already, you can provide a copy of that. And if you have a university degree already, you would provide a copy of that. So those are the first step is gathering those documents. And then the next step, applying. So you're going to scan your documents, and we do ask that you scan them separately. So you'll have your high school transcripts as one saved document. You'll have your English proficiency test as another, and your passport as a third, for example. And that really helps speed up the processing time. So we do ask that you scan your documents separately, and then fill in the international application form. And the application fee is 150 Canadian dollars. And then what happens is you will get an acknowledgement that we have received your application, and an application number. So you'll get that automatically. And then shortly thereafter, you will receive communications from your admission officer. Either if there's documentation missing, they'll follow up with you, or if you're getting a letter of offer, you'll get a letter of offer. And when you receive a letter of offer, there's a requirement to make a tuition deposit, your first tuition deposit. And that's telling us, yes, I do want to accept my offer. I'd like to come to VIU, and here's my first non-refundable tuition deposit. By making that tuition deposit as well, it helps you with your study permit application process. So it shows immigration that you're serious, that you've been accepted to an accredited institution in Canada, and that you've made a tuition deposit. So I'm not sure if that answers all the questions that were in that message, but I hope that helps.
Okay, Kathy, if you wouldn't mind, okay, great, stop sharing, because the third part of that question was about housing. I'm just going to share the screen in regards to our housing page on our website, which I believe you can now see. It's on the same website that Kathy's been referring to, and we can put the link in the chat function. But there's three basic options that you can choose. The first one is our residences on campus. So this is housing units that are right on the campus here at VIU. In fact, this picture up here in the background, you can see these are some of our residence buildings that are available. And you can see the pricing in there is anywhere from 500 to 900 Canadian dollars per month. And you can certainly click on the link and it will take you to and give you all the information about the details and what it would be like. You have your own room, you share a bathroom, but there are different configurations. You can choose which one you want. The key here is that you need to apply for residences early. So I would say that if you want to go to residences, when you're here, apply as soon as you get accepted into the university, because we only have, I think, about 500 or so beds in our residences. And obviously with our university being about 13,000 students, they're in high demand, but they are great. So it's very convenient for students to get to campus. Second option is homestay, and that is where it can be arranged that you live in a house of a Canadian family in the local community. Great, especially if you need to practice your English a little bit. The family shows you around a little bit, gives you an opportunity to experience the Canadian lifestyle a little bit more than you would typically if you're living on campus. And depending upon where the Canadian family lives, you would take a bus to the university each day. The third option is off-campus housing. because we're in a city of Nanaimo, which is about 100,000 people, there's a lot of people in the community who offer either houses or apartments or part of an apartment, or there are students looking to share an apartment with other students. There are options for all kinds of different forms of accommodation. And there are links that you can find out to link up with people who are available and looking for people to share accommodations. And those options can vary from anywhere from $500 to $1,600 Canadian per month, again, of services. So there's a lot of different options, but my recommendation would be that as soon as you get accepted into VIU, start looking at where you want to live and how you want to live, because it is a competitive market here to find accommodation. Anybody
Bruce, we have a live question.
Please.
From Modi. So Modi, I'm just gonna activate your microphone here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep, we can hear you.
So I am Moti from Ethiopia. So my question on the, which one was the English efficiency test. So it says recognized university where English is the language of instruction. So what do you mean by that?
So Moti, if you have attended university in a country where English is the official language and your studies at university have been in English, we would accept that as proof of your English capability. If you have taken English credits at that university as well.
Okay, so, okay, I got you. Thank you.
We also have Modi written in a question here about, can you elaborate on recognized university? What does this mean? Well, VIU, Vancouver Island University, is a publicly funded university. So we're funded directly by the British Columbian government here in Canada. So that's what we mean by recognized. It's an official university set up and funded, recognized by the British Columbian government, as opposed to maybe a small independent university that is not recognized officially. And there are probably within the tourism industry, are there particular recognitions that we use in the industry, Amanda, for your program?
Like accreditations and that sort of thing. There are some that are recognized in the industry, like some specific training and professional development opportunities for sure. Yes, so there's some certifications that are recognized. And I think Moti's question was related more to transferring from a recognized university to VIU.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, so we would look for this. Yeah, we'd look for the same thing. Moti is we do have access to information on universities from around the world that are accredited, that meet the Ministry of Education requirements in your home country or the country where the university is situated. So we want to make sure that the education documents and experience that students have had are coming from an accredited institution that is recognized in that country.
Yeah, so I studied film and media in my country, Ethiopia, that was recognized in the government and even in the internationally. So that will make me an international student for you to apply to the university.
So you can apply for sure to our university. And when you submit your documents, our admission officers would look at the credentials that you've submitted, and if we have any questions or concern, would be in touch with you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, we have a question from Mahul. I'm more into mountains and trekking. Is there any specialization in job available for someone like me in Canada? Maybe Amanda, could you take that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Canada broadly, there would be certifications in mountaineering and adventure tourism and that sort and things related to mountaineering and adventure tourism and adventure recreation. We do At VIU specifically, we don't offer specialization in trekking or mountaineering. However, there are lots of opportunities for that in BC, on Vancouver Island, and in Canada broadly. So we have students who have graduated and who are working in that industry. I have a student who I was just in contact with who started his own business, and he's running tours, overnight, multi-day tours, backpacking, rock climbing, that sort of thing. So definitely you would have the skill set required to work in that industry after graduating with the Bachelor of Tourism Management, and quite possibly the diploma, the 2-year program. I have a colleague, Dr. Farhad Mogimafar, who is who was born and raised in Iran and now is a Canadian citizen and a colleague of mine. He is really into mountaineering, caving. He has a background in that area. He led mountaineering expeditions prior to joining us here at Vancouver Island University, and he loves it here. He's got lots of contacts in the adventure tourism area and the parks area as well. That's an area that I failed to mention earlier, is that many of our students end up working for national or provincial level parks. So certainly the jobs are there. Again, it's kind of up to each individual student to figure out that path to that dream job. But, you know, I would say confidently that you would be prepared for a job in that area.
Okay, I noticed Moti had asked another question about wanting to ask about English proficiency tests, but I think Kathy's kind of covered that already. Moti, if you have any further detailed questions, let us know. And Diana, you had asked about diploma in travel tourism, wanted to know, can we offer credit transfers, which again, Kathy, I think is already addressed. So unless there's a more specific question, I think that one is handled. So
I don't see that question, but can I just jump on that idea of the diploma and versus the degree? So something pretty unique about Vancouver Island University, if you are looking at other institutions for similar degrees, is that we do have that diploma after 2 years. So if after 2 years you think, oh, I've got this really great job opportunity, you know, back home or somewhere else in Canada, and I want to leave and take that job for a year or two before I go back to my degree, you will leave with a credential. So you will exit the university with a diploma in tourism management, which is very unique to Vancouver Island. That's not available at most post-secondary institutions in Canada. So you can, you know, at some point during your university career, you can say, oh, I'm going to put this on pause. I want to go try something else, or maybe this isn't the program for me. I've got this other great opportunity somewhere. You at least have that credential, which you can use for multiple different purposes related to visa applications, related to job applications, related to career choice. Obviously, many of our students do end up staying for those 4 years, but having that 2-year opportunity to leave with a proper credential, a recognized credential, is a huge, huge bonus to our program here at Vancouver Island University.
That's a really good point. I'm going to share one other screen here. This is what you are going to see. Yeah, you should be able to see it now. This is our website with the Bachelor of Tourism Management program. This is the center point if you're looking for more information, where you can get detailed information. There's some very broad statements. It's a four-year program, bachelor degree, does have the co-op, offered in the city of Nanaimo, where we're located, gives you a brief introduction, but then there are all kinds of links down here, depending upon what you're interested in, the program outline. By going in here, you can see every course being offered, and you can click on those courses to see with the descriptions, the number of credits being offered per each one. So that gives you a wealth of information that you can look at year by year on what you would study. I'm also going to go back here. For Kathy was referring to admission requirements. You can go in there, find out what the admission requirements to get in. That's where your information, you can get anything you need to know about that there. Career opportunities. I know Amanda's done a great job of covering some of the opportunities you have, but there's some more descriptors in there in regards to what you can do, the type of work you can get, What does it mean for cooperative education, work placement opportunities? All of that is in there. Any of these questions that you may have and you may think of in the next couple of days, you can certainly get in touch with us about. There's a section on program fees. Remember, as international students, you need to look at the international students program fees. And the reason they are different is because as a public institution, our domestic students are subsidized for attending the education at the university because they and their parents have been paying taxes in Canada. For people who are outside of Canada who don't pay any taxes, they are charged the full amount of what it costs to run a program. Start dates, deadlines, and additional application details, very important aspect in there. Maybe Amanda, how many intakes do you do a year, and when is the next available intake? Put it that way.
Yeah, great question. So typically, because we're that cohort program, we do one intake a year. That's a September intake. So our next intake is September 2022. Applications are still open. Kathy might be able to tell us when they close.
Yeah, I was just double checking that. So just to officially, at this point, we're accepting late applications. So the official application deadline is March 31st, but it's still possible to apply for the fall. However, if you are interested, we would encourage you to apply as soon as possible because the application process does take a little bit of time. So even if you were to apply and get your documents into us, say next week, we maybe a week to review your application, and then you would get a letter of offer from us. And that letter of offer gives you 4 weeks to accept the offer, which means you would be getting your money together and transferring that to VIU. And so when we receive your payment, it's then that we would issue you the letter of acceptance. And the letter of acceptance is what you need when you're applying for a study permit to come to Canada. And that study permit process can take, it's beyond our control, it's beyond your control, and it can take time. And so the latest, sometimes it takes 4 months or longer to get your study permit approved. So here we are, it's almost May, June, July, August. So if you, depends on the country where you're applying for your study permit. So we will accept your application till the end of May. However, please note that we don't encourage you to wait until that time because it may not give you enough time for your study permit. So if you're interested, we do really strongly encourage you to apply as soon as possible to give yourselves enough time to get that study permit in hand so that it allows you to come to Canada and start your studies on time.
Thanks, Kathy. There's also a follow-up question from Mahul. I'm just going to skip ahead there. Do I have to pay the fee in one go, or is it by semester by semester?
Okay, great question, Mahul. So when you make your initial payment, you're paying for typically your first 15 credits of study. So it's one deposit that would cover that amount of money, and your tuition fees will be based on the number of credits that you enroll in. So maybe in the fall you're going to take 9 credits. That means that you'll have some money left over to pay for your next semester's tuition. So you make a large deposit up front to VIU. And part of the reason for that is, again, to help students with their study permit application. Immigrations that looks at your documents and say, oh, okay, I see that they've made a big payment to VIU. They're serious students. And they take that as an indication of your seriousness of study. And so we do ask for the deposit of, could be 1 semester or a little bit longer. And then after that, you would pay your tuition. The next tuition date would be December 1st for the January term, April 1st for the intersession term, and then August 1st for the for September. So you pay 3 times a year. And yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Okay, and there's a question from John about when is the deadline for admissions, and I think that's sort of been answered. It is still open for September, and essentially it's a matter of when we fill the seats completely, we'll close it off. But also the other side of the equation is what Kathy's been explaining about. You need to look at the amount of time it's going to take to get your visa, to get your acceptance. Then you got to make your travel arrangements and getting here. So that backs up time. So if you're waiting till July, it's just not going to happen because you will physically will not be, it'd be impossible for you to get here, even if there was space still available in the program. So those are all things you have to look at. I think also Amanda has kindly put in her email address in the chat function, just so you can, if you have further questions. Amanda is the person running the program. So great contact to have for there. Moti is saying, is it possible to know the minimum amount of fee? Kathy, do you want to take what the, I guess asking for the deposit? How much is the deposit?
So the deposit is about 12,500 Canadian dollars, I believe, for tourism students. And so that's the amount of money that you'd need to have available to accept your offer. In some countries, students also have the ability to pay 2 semesters deposit. It's called the student direct stream. And so students who want to have rapid study permit processing can apply via the student direct stream and are able to pay 2 semesters deposit. But you're asking about the minimum amount, and the minimum amount up front is about 12,500 Canadian. There's also a very good, a helpful tool on the website, which is called the cost calculator, that gives you an idea of your costs beyond just your tuition. So when you come to VIU, you're paying your tuition, but you have living costs, you have rent, you have food, you might be buying a bus pass. And so there's a great tool on the website that actually I can, let's see, I can just do a quick share here if you like, cost calculator. And maybe Mike, you can put the link in the chat. But if you go to the cost calculator, you can find your program, which is tourism management, right down here. And where will you live? Maybe you're going to live in off-campus housing. And will you buy a bus pass? Let's say yes. And it will calculate for you. So it shows your education costs. And this is for your first year. And this is in Canadian dollars. And then it gives you your basic living cost per month. So this is an estimate just to give you a guideline of your estimated living costs. So you've got food, you've got health insurance, transportation. And I'd say this may be a little bit on the low side, but costs are going up. But this gives you a sense of what to plan for when you're making a budget to come to VIU. And there's the link is right in the chat box there.
Yes, thank you, Kathy, and for Mike for putting that link in there. We've got another question. I'm trying to go a little bit quicker here just because we're running out of time here. We want to keep this to an hour. Mahul has asked, will I be eligible to work as a side hustle in Canada while studying? Well, it's not a hustle. You are allowed. If you're coming on a study visa, the Canadian government does allow you to work up to 20 hours per week off campus. And that's outside of the co-op. When you're working in the co-op, you're working full-time during that period. But while you're studying your academic programs, you're allowed to work up to 20 hours a week off campus or on campus, actually even more on campus if you wish. But and there are a fair number of jobs in the community, not high-level jobs, but if you want to work in some of the stores or restaurants, that sort of thing, those opportunities are definitely available around Nanaimo. And I believe the minimum wage now is $15.50, something like that, per hour, that is. That's Canadian dollars. So you can subsidize, this is an important aspect, you can subsidize your living costs that way, but it's not going to pay for your entire cost of living while you're studying. So do not calculate it. It's a nice thing to do, but your first and primary focus has to be your academic studies, and I would encourage you to continue that. But definitely, yes, you can work and study at the same time. I would say, Amanda, would that be most of your students are doing that?
I would say about 90% of our students have a part-time job while they're studying full-time. And some of those positions are related to tourism directly, and some of them are not, just depends on the student's interest. I do know right now with the current economy, the way things are going, if you want a side hustle, as you referred to it, if you want to work 20 hours a week, you will be able to. There are many entry-level jobs available in and around Nanaimo, in and around Vancouver Island. So most of our international students and most of our domestic students do work about 15 to 20 hours a week, some a little less, maybe 10. I wouldn't recommend 20, that's quite a lot, but if you worked 10 to 15 hours a week, you're subsidizing $300 a week. That's not so bad, and it gets you a little bit of experience as well. It gets you different friends, different social networks. There's lots of great advantages to working part-time while you study full-time.
I do want to add, because we've been talking about this on campus as well, that a lot of students are coming here with the intention of staying, and after they graduate, they want to get what we call a postgrad work permit, which allows you to stay up to 3 years and work anywhere in Canada, doing anything you want, which you are eligible for once you complete a Canadian degree or diploma. The issue, though, that does often come up with the students want to try to work more than 20 hours to subsidize their income, that sort of thing. It comes back and bites you at the end, because if you do that, the Canadian government finds that out, you will not get your postgrad work permit. You will not be able to stay with it for 3 years afterwards to work full time. So it is not worth it. Stay within the rules of what the government is saying, and then you'll be fine. You will get your chances are extremely high that you'll get your work permit to stay. But if you break the rules, they won't give it to you. So just an important heads up about that. Okay, so where do we want to go now? Are there any other questions that we have out there from anybody? I remember, Amanda, in your program right now, what is the current sort of mix? Do you get international students, and where have they typically come from?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So we do have quite a few international students. Pre-COVID, we had higher numbers of international students. That's kind of dropped off a bit with the travel restrictions and other restrictions, but we expect that to bounce back. So yeah, we haven't really talked about it here, but I can give you more information later if you email me. But we do have 2 streams into the tourism management degree program. One's the tourism side, so tourism management diploma or focus. And then ones are leisure, recreation, sport management. So if you're interested in sport and recreation, there's that stream as well into the tourism degree. So we have 30 students, about 30 students in each side that then move into the degree program. And I would say, in the degree program at the 3rd year level, we have probably 30% international students. Would that sound about right, Bruce? It's different every year. We've had more and we've had less, but we see students, we see a great diversity of students from across Canada as well as internationally. And we see students who are from India, China, the African continents as well. We have a couple of students right now, where a few students are coming from Central America, South America. We always have a couple of American students in our classroom. So yeah, we kind of have a diversity of students, everywhere. And what's really good is we have a lot of faculty who are doing international work, and we have also faculty who are international students at one point. So I feel like we're really well positioned to work with a diversity of students. And the other thing is with our small class sizes, we have tons of support for students. We have a really great writing center. The international education side of it has a really great writing center, really great support center. You get lots of one-on-one attention in our program. So struggling students, for whatever reason, whether they're international or domestic, they're supported. We try not to let people fall through the cracks. So yeah, as long as you're showing up to class, you will be well supported for success.
And I think it's really an added advantage. We really value the international students coming in because you're bringing different experiences and perspectives from places of where you come from. And so you actually add to the conversations. And if you're a little bit older, that actually is even more valued because you are bringing your own experiences in regards to maybe working within tourism in your own countries or what is going on in that industry. So it really adds to the quality of the education. So you're not going to only be just dealing with or meeting with Canadians, getting the Canadian perspective. You will get the South American, the Asian, the African perspectives on all the similar issues, which really gives some good entertaining and informative discussions going on in campus.
Yeah, and that's especially true in our program. We don't teach with tests. Typically, we teach with discussion, case studies. So we do rely on our students to bring their own perspectives to the classroom. And as a result, that diverse classroom really ends up in a rich learning environment where students can kind of focus in on what they're interested in. So if you're taking a course on niche tourism, for example, you can focus on sport tourism, or you can focus on wildlife tourism, or anywhere in between. So you're not forced into a specific area. So whatever your interests are, you can bring those to the classroom, and they're welcomed in our classroom as well.
Okay, I think our time is just about up. So I'd like to thank everybody for attending this seminar. And if there's any questions you have follow-up, please, you can contact Amanda directly if it's regarding the specific issues that you want to know about the tourism program. You can certainly contact us at worldview.viu.ca as well for any general questions. Or any questions at all, actually. That's our general reception number. And so even if it's admissions focused, we can convey your questions across to Kathy or anybody necessary. But we're more than happy. There's no commitments at this point. The only thing you need to think about, if you're looking at this September, you need to act quickly. If you're considering maybe a year down the road, you have some time. But because of COVID, there's a lot of backup demand of people wanting to go abroad. And so you don't leave it to the last moment whenever you're trying to get anywhere. But thank you to our panelists for being here today. And we really appreciate to everybody for helping out. And good luck. Hopefully we'll see you on campus soon.
Thank you.